The single most important thing that we can do to improve our presentation once we're on stage is to pause. When we pause, at least 10 good things happen for us. Number one, when we pause, we breathe. When we breathe, that reduces our anxiety. Number two, it gives us an opportunity to think about what it is that we want to say next. That helps keep our speech in order and helps create that continuity that we want with our audience. Thirdly, it gives our audience an opportunity to absorb what we've just said. Remember that when we're speaking to an audience, that audience is receiving those words, but those words vanish very quickly. So what we want to make sure is that they have time to absorb what we've said and to really think about what it is that we've said. Number four, the non-words such as and ah tend to disappear because when we're breathing, we are inhaling. And during the inhalation process, it's impossible to make those words. We can't make words while inhaling. So it eliminates a great deal of that problem. Number five, because we're filling our chest with fresh oxygen, it helps animate our voice. This gets rid of the monotone type of voice that so many people have when they're on stage. With that chest full of oxygen, we're able to emphasize certain words, to italicize certain words, to really push certain phrases out to that audience because we've taken the time to breathe and we've got that vocal pump available to us because our chest is filled with the oxygen that we need to do that. Number six, it creates a certain degree of drama. There's a certain drum roll during a pause, creating the anticipation in the audience of what is he or she, this presenter, going to say next. 7, it helps to stress certain statements that we make. For example, if we make an especially important statement to our audience, there's nothing that we can do to add to the gravity of that statement more so than to simply pause afterward, to really let it take on a larger life, to let that statement stalk the room for a little while before we go forward and start making more comments. Also, it gives us a chance when we're pausing to really look out at our audience and read that audience. Look at the facial expressions, read the body language so that we understand how our audience is reacting to the things that we're saying and doing. This gives us a chance to make adjustments, such as changing our pacing or to change the actual content, the actual content that we're using to communicate. For example, if we see that people are looking a little bit confused by what we just said, perhaps what we can then do is offer them an example that clarifies the statement that we just made that may have confused them just a little bit. The other thing pausing will do for us is it gives us the opportunity to control our tempo, which is really important to a fluid delivery and making sure that we're delivering information at a pace that people can absorb and also at a pace that's appropriate for the kind of content that we're delivering at the time. For instance, if you're doing some storytelling during your speech, well, storytelling has an awful lot to do with pacing. There's a certain type of cadence or pacing that we want with each of those statements in each section of the story that we're telling. Very important to control that pacing. We also demonstrate, when you add all these things together, a certain poise and confidence when we're on stage, which is critical to an audience finding us credible. We're much more poised and look much more confident when we're taking the time to pause, to breathe, to read the audience, to think about what we're going to say next, to allow the audience to absorb what it is that we've said, to reduce our anxiety, all of these things working together, emphasizing certain statements. Again, when we take that stage, it's critical that we take time to pause. It is the single most important thing that we can do to improve our presentation once we're on stage. Thank you for joining me. I'm Mike Consol from MikeConsol.com. There's more at my website.